what I want, what I think is important. And these are the stuff that we're going to hold you guys accountable to for the rest of the year and try and coach and help you improve. So we have 4 different pillars. First one is customer experience. It's still a good business. If you're not keeping your customers happy, you're not doing all the little things to earn their business, then they just have too many choices. And there is so many third-party shops right now. I know that's Jason, your background. You send me stuff from Midas and stuff. They just have lots of options. So we have to be that much better, and we have to basically give them the service so when they come into our franchise stores that they're getting really good value. And that's the key. Value in how we treat them, value in how we communicate with them, value in a lot of things, right? So everything we do must have a customer experience mindset. So we have to get away from this profitability mindset because they go hand in hand. If you have a really good customer experience mindset, then you will make money. So, you have to think about it that way. Are we accommodating? So, are we accommodating means are the hours accommodating for you as a manager and for your staff, or are they accommodating for the customer? What's your schedule? What's their schedule? Are you thinking about what's best? Am I going to be there? Am I there to jump in when we're open? Am I not there? How are we doing on Saturdays? Is it a fill day, or is it a full day for our customers? Are we scheduling properly? Or our Saturdays and Mondays, are we always just going to hit 50% of what we should based on executing the shop properly? Are we just accepting 50% productivity on those days? Because we're accommodating your schedule there, or your advisor schedule? What's best for the customers? What's best for the business model? I think sometimes we forget about this. Are we accommodating our customers in everything we do? Is it easy to get an appointment? Is it easy on the website? Do we text them? Do we phone them? Do we email them? Do we do all the things we can to communicate with them properly? In our database, are all the notes in there so that we can actually provide really good value to them when we communicate? Are our texts doing all the things we need to? We're going to talk about that, right? Time, easiness, and convenience. Those are the 3 things that people want when they do business with you. Is it easy to do business with Cod Auto Group stores? Do they respect my time? We're going to send you this deck just so you guys know. And is it convenient? So convenience means hours, drop off, all that type of stuff. Will they recommend you based on their experience? So if you have one goal when someone comes into your service department, is it that they leave happier when they got there. And I think sometimes we forget the little things. Did they leave happier when they got there than when they left? And you have to think about what does that take? So I always find it funny, like sometimes you ever go to a restaurant, you have this great meal. This is my biggest pet peeve with fancy restaurants. Like I eat out sometimes a lot. And I'll go to a restaurant and I'll order this nice steak supper that's $75 or $65 or whatever it is. And we'll have, with my family, we'll do all these food. And then I'm done my meal. And I ask her for the check. And it takes her 15 minutes to bring it. So we did all these things right. The restaurant did all these things right. And then at the end, they didn't respect my time. Because I'm done eating, everyone's finished, I want the bill and I want to leave. But then they make me wait 15 minutes at the end after. Or another example of restaurants too is, have they ever come up to you and say, hey, I'm changing shifts, Smith. Can I just, do you mind paying me now? Because, and then the next person, so what, you want me to pay twice? The restaurant's like, how is that accommodating to me? If I managed Earl's or wherever it was that has this policy where if there's a shift change, the customer has to pay twice, come on. So, but we do those type of things in our own businesses. The same type of pet peeves. We do a whole bunch of things right, and then we don't show them where their car's parked. We don't walk them out. they have to look for it. I see customers looking around, where's the car? Like, come on. It's little things, guys, are what you got to finish. You got to put the I's and T's on customer experience. So a lot of times we're doing everything right up until the end, and then we blow it in the last part by not, is their car clean? Oh no, their wash bay got turned up. I'm doing a sold order. That's more important. Sold orders are more important, Kevin. Sold units are more important. We don't need to wash the service customers. You got to do both. Right, Mario?
Yes, sir.
So we did all this stuff really good, but then that wasn't important that day. Right? So I'm challenging you guys. You got to think about these things. You got to finish the customer experience. You can't do part of it. I say this expression, it might not be politically correct. You can't be half pregnant. You either are pregnant or you're not. Okay? So customer experience, you need to be all in. Advisor process, word trucks. Do we have a proper process of our advisors like we do in sales? Do we have a proper greeting? What is the greeting? Some stores it's different than other stores. And that's on Scott and Perry and the GMs, right? We got to have a proper greeting. What do we want them to say when they come in to your store? And it should be welcome. And sometimes we're not even getting that part right, or that first impression isn't done right.
We should know their name when they come in.
Right. So you have a review of the little things like we'll talk about best practices, reviewing those appointments ahead of time, and then knowing them by name, and the advisors already know which ones they're going to take and what the game plan is with them. They already looked at some of the recent history. So these are big ones, guys, that sometimes we're still not getting it, especially with a new advisor at some of your stores. Your first thing before you let an advisor go talk to a customer should tell me what the process is. Okay, so walk me through when a customer comes in what you're going to do, and walk them through the word tracks. You should want that as a GM, and you should want that as a service manager. What are we saying to our customers when they come in? Because it should be, welcome. Thank you for coming to my house. Thank you for coming into my home. Really excited. My goal today is to go through everything, all your wants and needs, and we're going to go through a lot of that. So come on with me. Let's go ahead. You do a proper needs assessment. You're going through their car. You're going through, everything they've talked to you about. You give them an expectation properly of what it's going to take to get their car repaired, right? And I say this. I kind of sometimes remind service managers and service advisors this all the time. Who here has a pet? You do? You do? You do? What is it, a dog or a cat?
Myself, dog.
Dog? Okay. Lonnie?
Yeah.
Both. Both?
One.
Okay. So your dog gets sick and you take him to the veterinarian, right? Let's say he's not doing something and kind of asking you the question. Mm-hmm. What are your expectations when you take your dog to the veterinarian?
I know what you're saying, and I love this, but yeah, you want them to call you, you want them to give you updates and everything, right?
Yeah. That's your baby, right?
Yeah.
That's, you're taking your dog to the veterinarian, you want to know, hey, this is what's happened. He hasn't been the same right now. He's just been laying in the corner. And then, the vet and the helper, or whatever it is, comes in and says, what we're going to do, we're going to do this, and I'm going to call you at 11 o'clock. And then they don't call at 11 o'clock.
You think your dog
Are you looking at your clock at 11 o'clock?
Oh, of course you are.
Yeah, so, the expectations are the same with these people when they bring in their vehicles, man. Some of them love their vehicles. And it's their baby. It's their prized possession. We forget that. We do this all the time, every day, and we just like, oh yeah, we're gonna get them in and out, right? Let's treat them like that their vehicle's special to them. I think sometimes we're losing sight of that. I think sometimes we don't get that enough. And having a proper, detailed word track for the advisors that you're actually reviewing this on the training, let's go through our process, guys. Let's go through our word tracks with the advisors. Having a refresher on a meet and greet is really important. Having a word track on, hey, this is how we're gonna go into the needs assessment is really important. Having a process at the end with the report card, making sure that, hey, did we do okay? How did we do? It's really important for us to make sure that we did really well with you. You're gonna be getting a survey in. Did we do these things? And if we don't, then we can try and resolve it right then. So having a proper advisor process, word tracks, and I challenge the GMs on this. All the GMs in our company are supposed to be pretty good at training. And I find I see the service manager doing the training and the service manager's not even there. Or the GM's not even there. I'm like, what? How are you not there? You're supposed to be helping them train on the basics. Right? So that's a big thing for me, Brad. I need you to share your strengths with these advisors, right? On some of these advisor process and word track training, right? Personable, builds trust. Do they consider us experts? So, are we an expert? Is your service, do they look at our service advisors as being special and being able to, give them proper advice? You ever thought about what the word is? Advisors? It means being able to give people proper advice on service. If they don't trust us to do that and they don't feel confident that an advisor can advise them, then we should call them something else. Call them a service administrator. We're here to administrate your car today. Okay? We're here to, I'm the check-in person. Okay? I'm just gonna check in your car and check you out at the end. Right? So, what's a service advisor mean? It starts with us knowing what it means and being able to train on it properly with our teams. I think we've forgotten the word advisor. This means that when customers come and see us and talk to us about their car, that every advisor can communicate them and advise them like they're an expert. So when you all go around the room, like right now, Con, let's rate your guys. Do you think that they're experts?
There's no way I can answer that yes. I mean, I've had advisors that have never been an advisor and they've been there for 5-6 months, right?
So it's a challenge, right?
Of course, 100%.
So we have to kind of figure out how we're gonna at least have a process to make sure that we're advising properly. How do you guys feel at Maple Ridge?
I'm pretty fortunate because both my advisors have 25 plus years and 18 years respectively, so they are fairly knowledgeable. And that's usually one of the comments that we get on those CSI reports and the MPS is that they are extremely knowledgeable.
It's good, and I think I feel confident that your advisors could advise people properly. How do you feel?
No, nowhere near experts.
Okay, not experts.
Nope. Learning, not experts yet.
Okay, so we gotta train on that and how we're gonna, what's the process gonna be? And I'm hoping one of you tells me what it's gonna be. Okay, how about you, Darren?
Maybe it's learning bits, the talent of just learning her strengths right now.
Okay.
But with Nicole, she's been in the business for a while, and she's got the abilities to help the customer with what they need. But we're working on it.
Yourselves?
One of our biggest challenges was we recommended always stuff based on time or based on just what Chrysler says mileage. And I always tell people, we don't spend your money without your permission, and we don't spend your money without testing it. Transmission fluid recommended by time, we tested it, and it was the biggest complaint at the aftermarket stores was the manufacturers always sell us stuff that we may or may not need. And I tell our guys, we don't sell anything unless we have it tested. We don't recommend rear calipers because it's time. We test the caliper. We don't recommend coolant flush unless we're 7.5 or below on a pH scale. And then you show the customer.
Right.
And they have to learn that selling technique. They've been good order takers for a long time, and they've been good at selling what's been presented to them. But going to that next level and getting out of their comfort zone, no, they're not. And that's part of our training.
Okay, because I'm leading this work. How do you feel are your advisors, can they give expert advice?
So two out of my 3 advisors used to be sales guys, so they're strong in the sales part. Experts as in like the technical side of it. I've been writing here as you would out of 10, and I wrote for experts 5 out of 10.
Okay, so, those of you that don't have what Lonnie has, where they can speak from, hey, just so you know, I have this many years' experience, I can do this. What do you think should happen? What kind of process should it be, Sam, if you don't have an advisor that's an expert advising a customer? What would make sense?
You should have something, document that you rinse and repeat with the advisor.
Or, who should talk to them?
Yourself.
Okay. Sorry that I needed to fish that out of you guys. So, if I was an advisor that wasn't an expert, I would make sure another expert was consulted, which is your technician or your service manager. So I'm going to be like, hey Mario, just so you know, I talked to my service manager who's 30-year expert in this. This is what he told me that we should go ahead with. And based on this. Hey Kevin, just so you're aware, our certified technician of 20 years went ahead and these are the things that, you know, that you came in on, and these are the things. And I think sometimes the word tracks aren't there on what it takes to be an expert. So our technicians should be experts and our service managers need to be experts. So I hope you've written down some type of process that you're going to make sure that the customers know that we have experts on staff, that where the information's coming from. And make sure that when we're communicating with them, we specialize in this stuff. This is what we do here. So how's your process on communicating? Because if it's with a 1 or 2 day old and you have a new advisor and he's just texting him, hey, this is what your car needs, and there's been no setup properly and no process on where that information came from, then that's not good customer experience. They already met the guy and they know that he's only been doing it for like 3 or 4 months. So like, we gotta dummy this stuff down, guys. We gotta have a tight process on who the expert is in our buildings. And how does that cross-reference to our customers? I'm not inventing something new here, guys. This is just streamlining what you guys should already be doing. You gotta think about it that way, right? So.
Can I just throw something really quick in there?
Yeah.
That's why we want the tech videos.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
That's the expert speaking directly to the customer.
Yeah. So we're gonna kind of go through some of that later on one of the other pillars here, right? So, okay, does everyone get where I'm coming from on the experts? Right, that's a big one. Clean car business. It's a clean car business. You can mess up a lot of things, but you return a car really clean to someone, sometimes it can overcome some stuff. So, if you do not have a process or a checklist of making sure that you're doing the cleaning the car every single time without fail and no excuses, and that comes from the GM. The GM and the service manager need to be aligned and on the same team that this is required 100% of the time. There is no excuse. The car has to be clean when they get it back. Right? And what does clean mean, Darren?
Washed it back and
Okay.
and everything off that vehicle.
Okay. I have a real pet peeve of getting my car sometimes cleaned. They do everything else right, but then there's streaks on the inside of the window. So like, do we have a checklist of what is the clean and who does it? And as the service manager, are you inspecting quality control? Are you actually looking at every 10th car and saying, hey, what's going on here? Because if you want really good CSI and all your pay plans are paid on it, and you're not inspecting things, like what the advisors say to them at checkout, will they recommend this? You better know that one. You better know if your cars are getting cleaned 100% of the time. You better know what the report cards are done. Are they executing them 100%? And, right?
Do you want the windshields done, JK? The windows washed? Like, we don't wash the windows.
I don't know, but if you do wash them, make sure they'd have no streaks in them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? If the windows are dirty, then you should be cleaning. You got to have some basic communication with your detailer. We're not gonna turn, a dirty windshield to someone. Then we would take the time to at least make sure that it's cleaner than when it got
It's
there.
on the outside, yeah.
The car needs to be cleaner than when it got there, right? And it needs, so Time is important, so, you know, sometimes we overpromise timelines. And that's a big one. So time is important to people, so the worst thing you can do is overpromise a time commitment. You know, and find out if it is really important to them, how you're gonna try and achieve that. And I think we really get sometimes, you know, we're not being very transparent sometimes. If we are gonna have a challenge on time, we need to communicate it. And I think we get away from that sometimes, just being straight up, hey, you know what, we've got a full shop today. You know, this is what we're tracking for time. Because you don't want to, oh, you know, when I read some of the surveys, oh, they told me we'd be ready at 2 and then I'm back at 4, and I'm just like, that really wasn't more about a communication thing. If they were to have communicated ahead of time, we were running behind, usually it would have been okay. Like when I'm at the restaurant and they say, hey, just so you know, you're next, you know, it's gonna be 500 minutes for your food. I just love to talk to the chef. Well, then I at least feel good. They've touched base with me, right? So think about yourselves as a customer, right? And the wow factors. What are the wow factors in your store? What's a wow factor? What is a wow factor? Kevin, what's a wow factor?
Just going above and beyond for customer service.
Okay, give me an example of one.
Well, it could be your customer lounge, it could be going through and setting up their Bluetooth personally, or going out, or just take them to the vehicle to the shop and show them what you're doing. It could be anything.
Scott, give me an example of a wow factor.
Obviously great customer service with a smile, but you know, something as easy as chocolate chip cookies waiting for the service customers in your service lounge.
Something personalized.
Nice. Sam, what's a wow factor?
Prompt greeting when they come in, prompt welcome.
Okay. Jason, what's a wow factor?
I take the time with a client that if they've got a bill that they don't understand, I ask them, do you understand what a constant velocity axle does? Do you understand how an internal transmission works? And 99% of the people, even well-educated people, say, no, I don't understand how it works. And I'll either bring up a video or show them a picture of how your fuel pump works, how your water pump works, and then what it does and why it needs to be successful. And then they understand why they're spending the money on their car. And people love learning about how their car works, even to the point of I'll take them in the shop sometimes and take them underneath their car and show them, and they love that.
Okay. I'd like everybody to take 2 minutes and write down one wow factor that you could do in your store that you're either do or you should be doing. Because I don't think the answers we got were very good for wowing someone.
Just spin the wind wheel.
I'm gonna wow you by.
That's a wow factor.
Your dog.
You just unwild them by not greeting them quickly.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, write something down.
That's fucking, that's brilliant.
I'm excited for your answer. I'm slicing that
Now I got
up.
pressure, I gotta come up with a better answer.
I'm slicing that up.
Okay, Brandon, we're writing down a wow factor that you can do in your store, or you are doing, that would be a wow to a customer and service. Okay? Because we kind of shared and nobody really wowed me with their answers so far. Let me get this right. Something that they would not get at any store. Right, so Scott Barber said one, we'll leave him off the hook. They're cooking them chocolate chip cookies, right?
Yeah, and peanut butter and sometimes white.
So they're doing the chocolate chip cookies at their store. They have a process where one of their staff members cooks them every morning, and then when they come in, the customer actually is, you know, greeted with a coffee, and the smell of the cookie is there. It's a brand new facility. It's kind of cool, and probably are more staff members eating them. So it could be a staff wow factor too. They're eating cookies with the customers. But that would be one that would qualify for a wow, right? Okay. Sam, I'm going to go back to you. What's a wow factor?
Wow.
Prompt greeting.
I thought that was a good one.
Prompt greeting is expected. It's not wow.
Pulling up their car and letting them know you filled it up with washer fluid.
Okay, so something going over a little bit, okay? Marginal wow, that's
Marginal.
like, wow. It's not, wow, that was awesome.
Whoa.
Con, what's the wow factor?
Doing the opposite of over-promising and delivering. So we're going to under-promise and over-deliver. Some of the tricks of the trade that I've learned is customer brings their vehicle in, you say, hey, the estimate's going to be $1,000, knowing full well the estimate's going to actually closer to $800. Customer comes to pick up the vehicle and it's $200 less than what you actually quoted them. Hey, the vehicle's going to be ready for 4 o'clock, suddenly it's ready for 2 o'clock. We can do very, very simple things without changing anything that we do in a day, just by training staff to make sure to let people expect what potentially could be a worst case scenario, and then you make it a best case scenario for them.
Okay,
So
I will accept that as a wow factor. Scott Muir, give me a wow factor.
Wow factor for us would be the dog treats. So,
Where's my wow?
The dog treat. Okay, explain.
so as soon as customer walks in, we have a lot of people that bring their dogs down, obviously
Okay.
to the dealership, and Lonnie has bags and bags and bags of dog treats. And the second that the dog comes through that door, they're right to the dog, giving them a treat. Instantly.
Not only that, most of the time the dogs
The
will
dog will
just
actually
automatically
go to
come
her
in my
office.
office because they know
Because they know
exactly
where
where my
the
dog
treats are.
treat.
Yeah, those are the snacks that Lonnie keeps offering.
Okay, I will look
It's not just Carrie that's going in there eating.
They're all natural, it's okay, you're good.
Harry's on his hands and knees. I'm a dog.
Okay, let's keep going here. I will accept that. That is a good wow factor. Kevin and Mario, give me a wow factor.
A wow factor. After they pick up their car after detail, a personalized card signed by the GM or the fixed managers thanking them for the business
Okay.
and like a little chocolate.
Okay. Is that happening or is that just a good idea?
That's a great idea. It's going to happen. How about that?
Okay,
Go
so
on.
you have a wow factor idea that you don't wow the customer currently. Okay.
Yes.
We actually walk the customer out to the vehicle after every visit. to make
Was that
sure
what the other
it's
store
up front.
did?
We walk the customer out to review the
Okay.
vehicle with us.
That would be a wow factor. I currently walk every customer to the car. You're not gonna get that at another service department. I like the card. I like the card. Good idea.
Great idea.
You know what a great idea is that you don't execute?
Shitty idea.
It's a shitty idea. You gotta execute it. Okay. Jordan, any wow factor idea? What'd you write down?
Well, Kevin said one of the one I had, but I have another one. You can use it for service too. I did it for sales once. I had this heat customer that had purchased a brand new Forte, and on her way home, the transmission blew a brand new car. And the transmission was backwards, so it was going to be like a 4 or 5 month wait. So the customer ended up getting this giant heat score, and I ended up having to work with Kia Canada and work with the bank to be able to put the customer in the exact same car, same color, just swap for swap, and then I was just going to bring the vehicle back in, and Kia was going to help me do whatever behind the scenes. But obviously, you can imagine the customer, they just bought this car and they were super pissed and stuff. So anyway, got them in the car and everything like that, got them down the road, and then what I ended up doing is, once they had already gone, and I apologize for the experience and try to get them happy, it was, I created a swag bag of just stuff that no longer stood us anything in the Kia parts department. It was 4 or 5 items, and I put it in a bag, and then I mailed it to her in a present. I ended up sending it to her. And since then, she's actually bought 3 cars of us. If you remember, it's the girl that comes in with the tank with her husband.
Barb?
Yeah, Barb. Yeah. She's bought 3 cars of us since, but at the time she was a super heat customer. So obviously we're not going to do that on every customer because it can be costly. But that was a wow factor, and she always talks about it when she comes in. She knows me by name. She knows Janessa by name now. She knows our whole family by name. She'll probably never buy a car anywhere else by anyone else. And it was just a heat customer that I did one time. So
That is a wow factor. So you got a problem, customer's unhappy. How do you recover? Recovering really well is a wow factor. You got to recover. And that's how we did it. Okay, Anthony.
So what I do is, our lot obviously is a bit of a tight one, bit of a war zone sometimes. So what I do is I walk them up there, I pull the car out. When I pull it out, not only do I pull it out, but I point it so it's facing the exit, so it's easy to get out. I take the hanger out, and then when they get in there, I make sure everything is adjusted properly. So right to the vehicle.
Brandon, any other one?
I got a couple down here. Actually fix their car.
That's not a wow, that's expected.
Call them with an
update. That's expected.
That's a wow at Victoria. No, I think Anthony said it, a couple of wild things that we like to do is actually always with our parking, if we can greet the customer outside and help them park their vehicle so they can just like drop it off, like go back and go inside and do cars right away. So how to right away, they're usually pretty impressed with that. Park their car facing the exit when they're leaving. That is usually a wow factor. As well, so that's our law, the customers, small things go a long way with them.
Yeah, our law, like it's, yeah.
Scott, you wrote right down.
Yeah, I've got pretty much the same thing that these guys have come up with. Walk the customer to the car.
That's expected.
Make sure all the the settings are correct.
Yeah.
And if not, the system to do so. And the other one I have is greet the customer by their name when they walk.
Okay, that would be a wow. The other ones are just part of doing business.
How do you know who the customer is?
Well, it's simple. If you have your printouts, your warranty printouts, your rep or your receptionist writes their name on the top. When they come in, they hand them that sheet. By the time that sheet gets handed to the advisor looks at that sheet. Oh, Mr. So-and-so, how are you today? I mean, it's a little sneaky.
I mean, a lot
It's
of
also getting to know your customers,
And-
building those relationships with your customers.
Yeah, and a lot of times, exactly.
Also, PBS with license plate on, that will help you when you're going through, you can read the license plate and know who they are.
Or you have a picture of their driver's license in PBS so you know what they look like.
Okay.
That's a little stalkerish, that's kind of weird.
That's not stalkerish.
Justin, did you write it in?
I did. I think a lot of customers feel that their concerns may or may not have been rectified, and they don't understand whether it has been until they take their car home, taking the extra time, 5-10 minutes, whatever it takes to go out and demonstrate to the client that their concern has been resolved.
Okay. That's a big one. That would be wow. Hey, you know, I was doing this. I personally checked it myself. When none of you guys didn't write this down, on a wow factor, how many of you have been at a really nice restaurant and then the manager came over and introduced himself, or the chef?
Yeah.
How did that make you feel? Okay, that's a very easy one. I find it really, really funny sometimes how, you know, a director or an executive or a GM will just be like, are you talking to the customers? Are you saying hello? Are you saying, hey, how's it going? Did you get your car in today? Right on. Thank you. I mean, you're in good hands here with Lonnie. Sometimes a simple greeting by the GM or the service manager in the drive-thru. Sam, I was hoping you'd say that. Because a lot of these customers, this is our first store, a lot of our customers have been dealing. You've got to get in the customer lounges. You've got to sit down with them sometimes. You know, we're so caught up in our positions that we forget that it's still you know, a rapport people business. You know, Kevin, get in the back, go say hi to them, sit down with them. So, you know, why'd you make the face, Kevin?
I do, I know half my clients.
Hey, well, do it. Do whatever you know what I mean?
I think what you just said goes a super long way. It's something that I try to do.
Yeah, I think you would. I think I've seen you do it lots.
I just, you know, I acknowledge them. Whatever, make a joke about what's on television, offer them a cookie, did you have a cappuccino? And it goes, I think, a much longer way than we think it does. I've also seen myself, you know, if I've got something to talk to Darren about, or you've talked to me and I have to like deal with something, I'm like blinders on, but then I try to get myself and still acknowledge the customers that are sitting in the lounge, so.
Yeah. It's a big one, guys. It's a big one, and I think, you know, how many are you doing a day? You know, if a GM's doing 1 or 2 a week, maybe he should be doing 1 or 2 a day, right? And I think that's the challenge that I want to see is the service managers. How many of your 35 appointments did you actually say hello to? Did you actually have a conversation with? You know, was it 10, 15, 20, or was it 1 or 2? Right? Because the wow factor is, hey, I'm the service manager. You know what? My job is to make sure the advisor and technician fix your car, just like I'm the doctor here. I'm going to be working on your dog con, and you know what? You're going to be very happy when you leave. And he's going to be, you know, he's going to be healthy as ever. And I think that's what we want to make sure that as managers we're communicating with our customers, and You know, it works, guys. The manager and the service manager going out and shaking their hand and thanking them for coming and making them sure that you're gonna be watching things, Jason. You're gonna be on top of their repair. That just provides that expert confidence.
We like to walk the customer up to their car.
Yeah.
As far as myself goes, because they're a little hesitant to say if there's been an issue in front of the advisor or a technician or a parts man. So I generally like to walk them out the door, give them a card, introduce myself, let them know my role at the dealership, and make sure that there's any issues that, you know, everything that they wanted to get done was done in a timely fashion. And it's amazing how many times something little was missed that could be corrected within minutes that we just take care of right away. So.
Okay, in your book, I'd like you to write down wow, and then next to it, advisor training. Because you should be doing this exercise with your advisors and asking them, how are we gonna wow the customers, right? So that would be an important one, right? And then really challenge them on, you know what, let's give just that little extra jump. A smile is a big one. How many of you guys have actually went and dealt with someone and their energy wasn't wow. It was like, they kind of were there and they just, you know, you didn't get a good vibe on their energy. And just, you know, and I think it's important that we're aware of how our energy is coming off to our customers, right? And that smile and that welcome, it goes big, right? So, okay. Do we have it? Okay, next is the people. Having the right people in the right position. You guys all talked to a lot of challenges. We've made mistakes as a company, hoping, and you know, the expression is, you know, you can't turn a donkey into a racehorse, but we've really tried sometimes in this company. Unfortunately, I hate to say that, don't put that on social media. But it's a fact. Sometimes we wait too long on people. We hope that they are gonna get better, and you know what, we don't see any improvements. And, you know, don't put up with what your expectation is when someone doesn't do it. Just don't accept it. Sit down with them, let them know how they failed, and ask them how they're gonna improve on it. That goes for anybody, right? Fail fast. So this is a big one. We try. You know, Jordan has done a good job of challenging me to add people sometimes where I didn't think we needed it, and it's proved to be a success. So those are things. Upgrade when you can. Training. Training is a big one. Do we have consistent training, right? And I think sometimes we don't. I think sometimes we think we do, but we don't. Because, especially if you're below on CSI. If you're not above the regional average in CSI, you're not training enough. That's the bottom line. So, when you're above and you're hitting on all your report card and you're hitting on everything, then you can say you're training. But if you're not training enough. So, don't train for me. Oh, I gotta do it every 2 weeks because John said. No. How about you train so your team is executing at a high level? How about that? And do whatever it takes. Sam? Don't train for me, train for your teams.
I would never.
Okay.
I mean, to speak to that, your job becomes way much easier when you have properly trained staff that know what to do. So if you are a stressed out GM, which I have been, because I've hired based on panic, I've hired based on, you know, I think they're good. I've kept people hoping they'll change their ways with minimal communication about my expectation. I can tell you the last 6 months of my job has been not stress-free, because it's going to happen, but it's been minimal. Because people come to work, they're happy, we're adequately staffed for the job we're asking them to do, so we have enough people to do the job, and they know the expectation each and every day. And when they fail, which they're going to, we communicate with them immediately and remind them what the expectation is. So if you are stressed out in your position, it's probably because people aren't properly trained and don't know what the expectation that you have of it is.
Okay, so that's a big one. I would challenge, do your results in CSI, customer experience, and your overall sales and gross. Do they match the amount of training you're doing? Are you hitting your targets on all those things? And that should be Your training should be based on results. It should be based on what John Cott says you have to do for training. Okay, is that fair?
That also rolls into your one-on-ones too.
Yeah, well, we're getting to that. Okay, technology, you know, part of our people knowing how to use the technology. You know, Perry talked about the challenge that we have sometimes with the advisors, with the technicians, with you guys knowing, you know, all the tools that PBS has, how to pull the proper data and reports and how you share it, and all those type of things that you have all these softwares. That's a big one with people. Mindset and attitude, you know, Brandon said it, sometimes we haven't had people with good attitudes. You know, we haven't had people with the right mindset when they came to work. That affected everybody, right? That can really bring down a team, right? So you as the leaders have to really, you have to really set the tone. You know, just the movie that we watched with Kirk Brooks, you know, you're the leader. So, you know, the attitude that your team has is basically your attitude. Because you have to set the tone on how they're delivering everything, right? And I think sometimes we forget, we might have a great attitude, but then we walk into our office and one of our advisors is offside or one of our techs isn't, you know, he's completely disturbing the entire team in the shop. We didn't do anything about it. We thought, you know, we wrote it down in our book, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do my one-on-one 2 weeks from now, instead of doing it right today, when there's a problem with someone. Right, that's a big one. Okay. One-on-one reviews, Scott said it. The service managers have the most employees. I get it. It's a big one. You got to find a way to do it. Some of them can be shorter. I talked about the technicians that are underperforming. Those got to be important to you guys. An advisor that's not doing CSI, that's got to be a really important one-on-one. Of how we're going to get it up, how you're going to get it up as a coach. And that goes for the GMs and the directors. Like, if you're not doing one-on-ones because you need to, don't do it for me. Do it because you want to be more successful in your positions. I can only share my 38 years of experience with you on what it takes to be a good leader, and one-on-ones have to be they have to be consistent. And if you're not going to do them, you probably won't be in my company. I'm just being straight up. And if you're not going to do them the way I want, you're not going to be in my company. Which is, you do a one-on-one, and then you communicate it to them in writing. So you can all look down, some of you now, but I'm being very serious with you. You need to do a one-on-one with your staff consistently, and you need to send them a recap. And if you can't do it, then tell me and I'll find someone else in your positions. And I don't like threatening people, but come on. It's so important to being a coach and a leader. Find out when you're going to do it and do it. And your job's going to be that much easier. Okay? Daily huddles. So, Con, I've seen some of yours. I like it. It's so important. You know, it's, you know, you're having a huddle with your team. Hey, this is what our plan is today. This is what we got for appointments. You know, we're highlighting, you know, which ones are coming in, all that type of stuff. And you're going through it, you know, and I hate it when, you know, we're starting at 7:30 and then, you know, the advisors are showing up at 1 minute to 7:30 and then, oh, we got too busy, we didn't do the huddle. That's a leadership issue. It's not a staffing issue, that's a leadership issue. If you're not doing huddles, it's a leadership issue. That's all it is. It's you, you're the issue. No one else. You have to figure out how you're going to do it. Any thoughts on that, Anthony? You've had some challenges on daily huddles? Yeah.
Just making sure that we're there that 15 minutes earlier for everyone's all dialed in.
Okay, what about the one-on-ones?
And then one-on-ones, yeah, I've been decent as of late, but in the past I've been.
Have you seen some improvements? Because some of your communication now that you get about some stuff.
I'd say that like my biggest improvement has been like when I sat down with the techs and taken time with the techs, they've really improved and they've really just appreciated that. And then I can see that when I go back into the shop after it, they're more engaged with me. They're appreciative of my time, their time.
Okay. Daily huddles and one-on-ones. How do we rank ourselves right now?
My daily huddles are 100% with my texts.
Okay,
Every
I like
morning I get there.
Advisors too?
Advisors,
Okay. That'd be like me being a hockey coach and only having a huddle with the forwards and not the D.
yeah.
Hoping that I'm gonna win the game.
And I shouldn't say, I have huddles with them every morning, because we review the work orders, we pre-print them off the night before, and then we go over the work orders, if there's any concerns previously, what are we gonna try to upsell today, what do they close down, give them a bit
But do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
It'd be like me, hey, goalies and defense, you guys leave the room, I wanna have a meeting with the forwards. About today's game. Right? Think about it. Okay, daily huddles and one-on-ones. How do we
Yeah.
rate ourselves?
Daily huddles, it's a non-negotiable, we have it every single day. I walk around and talk to all the technicians in the morning.
It's awesome, yeah.
The one-on-ones, I mean, I've been doing them consistently month after month. The recaps, I have to be obviously a little bit more diligent on making sure that I do recap. I do recaps on every single training. I send that out. I've sent them to you too for review. I would say that when people know that you're caring, as well as they know that you're looking, they have a tendency to start looking at their work a little bit more professionally and a little bit more carefully.
Daily huddles and one-on-ones. Kia.
Every day with the text. I walk through the shop, the night before, I go through the next day's appointments with the advisors, especially Tyler, he's there typically at 10 after 7. So we go through, make sure the history's been printed, make sure we know what we're doing, why we're doing it. And then when Harold comes in, we do the same.
How are you doing on the one-on-ones?
Good, I've done both guys. I'm doing parts next week.
When you say you've done both guys, have you sent them a
Tyler,
recap?
I have not done
Okay, then you haven't
email
done it.
recap.
Then you haven't done it.
Fair.
Right? Yep. You said there's only one way, and that's my version.
Yep.
I got lots of executives that have their own versions too. We're not serving, this is McDonald's. We're gonna do them one way.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
So, if you do a recap with a staff member and you don't send the recap, Perry, Con, Sam, James, Scott, Anthony, Brandon, Jordan, then you're not doing them. There's only one way to do them. You have to give it back to them in writing on what you discussed. This isn't rocket science. It's not a one-on-one without a recap. Be leaders. Tell them, make it important. Write down. It doesn't have to be like some guys want to make it this pretty email and it has to be like 2 pages long. No. This is what we discussed. Okay? This is what we discussed. Here's the point forms of what we discussed. Here's the great things. Here's what I need improvement on. Here's the action plans. Here's the expectations. We're going to review this again in 3 weeks. Or if there's something that's really bad, we're going to review this in 1 week. I'm really looking forward to helping and supporting you. Let's have a great month. Boom, it's in writing. Come on, guys. Don't say you're too busy. You're only fooling yourselves. Huddles and one-on-ones.
I do meet with the advisors and I will talk to the techs in the morning. Terrible at the one-on-ones.
Yeah.
Definitely have to get a whole lot
Missing the
better.
boat. You're missing the boat. Both of you guys. Okay, so this is a big one, guys. I can't stress it enough. Okay, daily huddles, reward and retention. Do you have a plan? Do you have some type of plan for your staff on reward and retention? Are you doing the meetings once a month? Are you doing the lunches? Are you having some type of incentivize them? Do you have something for them to hit their goals? Do you discuss it with them? Do they know your goals for the month? And then is there a reward plan if they hit it? These are just basic stuff on coaching people, right? Retaining them. So you gotta actually have a plan on that, right? So, hey, technicians, if we hit this is where we're going, or just making sure you do them regularly too. Same with the advisors, right? So, it's really important. Motivators, okay? The one-on-ones and the daily huddles. Okay, everybody has different motivators. Kevin, you know what the 7 motivators people are?
No.
Yeah, Sam, what are they? Put you back.
It's going on today. The 7 motivators. Mearsy, you want to help me out here?
Affiliation.
Money.
Okay.
Numeration.
She said 1, affiliation.
Numeration.
They're not in order. Anybody have another one?
I said numeration.
Remuneration?
Yeah. money.
Okay, yep,
Time off.
that would be one, yeah. So, power,
Safety and security.
okay, let me go through them. Power, power, some people want to be in charge, they want to feel like they're the ones calling the shots. That's a motivator for people. So you might communicate with them differently, okay? Achievement, people want to achieve, right? They want to, those would be people that it's really important for them to hit their targets, okay? Safety and security, that's a motivator, okay? They just want to make sure that, they're going to be okay, right? Affiliation, okay? Some people, another motivator is excitement. These are people that need to be excited regularly. They need some type of, something big. That's how they get motivated. So a contest, or that type of stuff. That would be a big one. We said affiliation. Affiliation is they want to be part of a team. They want to feel a lot of belonging. That's a motivator. Money's a big one. We already said that. And that would be part of the achievement. Those generally are what people are motivated by. They kind of usually fall into one or two of them, right? Or when you're communicating with them, those are their things, right? And then so when you're holding your people accountable, or when you're talking to them and having meetings, it's nice to know what their motivators are. And I find that sometimes we don't really think about it. We're going to do a one-on-one with someone, we don't really know what motivates them. So if you're trying to communicate with someone that you don't know how they get motivated, sometimes it can cause friction, sometimes it actually hurts you, right? So it's really important that you guys at least know the basics. Some people, maybe they're buying a house, they need money, they're really motivated. Other people, like Stephanie, we know that hers was achievement. She wanted that. Her motivator was she wanted to be the #1 service advisor, customer experience in the Auto Group, right? That was her motivator, right? I look at a finance manager, might be that she wants the best numbers, or a technician wants to be the top tech, or whatever it is. There's different motivators for people, right? Money's usually some of them, but some of them get motivated by other things, right? We've got to sit down and talk to them what's important, right? Okay, profitability, obviously is going to be a pillar. We feel that sales as a whole, we're going to lose a little bit in sales. Our goal is to make up some used cars, which is going to affect service, but we feel we're going to lose some gross. Our volume's going to go up, but we're going to lose our profit margins now that there's more availability. So we're looking at how everybody knows, or we can. Profitability is going to be a key essential. So how do we do it? So in imports, we want to go from 1.8 to 2.2 hours per hour. We feel that's industry average is about 1.8 for Hyundai and Kia and Nissan, but the top 5 or 10% are higher than that. So domestic Chrysler, this is minimum 3.2, right? Most of the Dodge and Ford stores are 3.2 hours per hour, they're over 3 for sure. And so knowing the expectation, thinking that 1.7, 1.8, we're doing high fives, that's at 135 when you add that month. You guys, I think if I remember, 2.7. Yeah, but at that month that you did really well, it was 2.8, 2.7. Yeah. So it's making sure that, we have, and I guess I'm going to ask you, does your staff know? Jordan just sent it to the GMs. Hey, sometimes I don't know if you guys know what a really good job is in your dealership. He sent out some emails to some of the GMs. This is what, you want us to give you a high five? This is what we think is a high five worthy. Well, do your advisors know what a high five worthy is? Do they? They know what's really going to, it's a GM statement off for lunch. Do they know what that is? Okay, so it's about profitability and customer experience together. Make sure that they know what's expected. Are you looking at your gross lines? So are you comparing the the 20 data, are you and the GM looking at it, reviewing it? Okay, if we're not making money, or if we're making money, what are the numbers? It's important to know your numbers on profitability. Expense control, trim fat, you know, I put, you know, so trimming fat could be like, you know, Jordan said sometimes we went through the expenses with the GMs, you know, we'll bug Scott here about his $16,000
bars.
what were they called?
What is it, party poppers?
Party poppers.
Party poppers,
16,000.
16,000 party poppers. But, you know, office supplies, all those kind of things. You know, Jordan went through it, but like, you know, we found sometimes at some stores there was no real sort of expense control. The managers, it wasn't their money, they were just signing off on something. A big example of that is Worth. You know, who's signing off on that Worth bill? You know, are we letting these guys come in and fill our shelves, or is there actually a business case for it? Well, that would be an example of expense control, and not making sure that we're not buying things we don't need. Non-revenue producers, like we need non-revenue producers. I call them NRPs. We need them in our dealership. They're important. They're good support people. But you need to know how many revenue producers versus NRPs you need to have in your store. And you need to make sure you're getting, you know, your NRPs. Give Perry sometimes a hard time about some of the Genesis people at Victoria when they only have 1 or 2 appointments. What are they doing on their off time? Because we got 3 other departments that they could be doing something. We only have 1 appointment. Is Michaela stepping up? And is it defined for her how to help out Anthony because he's short on another area? And I think we all have these people that maybe, you know, is it like, that's not my job? Or is it, you know, they got to do other things, right? You know, a guy like Ethan, if he's not doing anything in parts, you know, has someone sat down with him and saying, hey, you're going to go do this, you're going to go fill out the tire storage.
Actually did yesterday morning.
Okay, good.
Everything sent in the recap.
Good. Good.
That one I did.
Open work orders, profitability. In sales, I said this to someone, finance manager yesterday, I said it's not a deal until the dealership gets paid. Okay? It's not hard to figure out. Well, in service, having a ton of open work orders, and not knowing what's going on with all of them, that's just not good business. We're gonna have lots of open work orders sometimes, some of our repairs with the engines or whatever, but we gotta be on top of them. We gotta have a plan on what we're doing on them, and I think sometimes we're forgetting that. And we're not reviewing them enough. We're not going through them enough, right? So I know some of you have capacity issues, I get it, but that's where you need to be more on top of stuff, right? Retain staff, obviously profitability. The most profitable dealerships are the ones that have the staff that have been there the longest. This goes without saying. So, tech productivity and special dispatching and service. So this is like a labor matrix. Okay. Have we thought about it? You know, who's getting the work and is it the right person getting it? Right? If you want to be real profitable in the perfect world, you're going to make sure that the tech that does it the quickest and the best is working on the right car. So do we have that set up properly at our store? Or is it just kind of a free-for-all? And these are things that when you start getting really good at your positions, and you're like a sales manager, like Jason said, but you're also managing people. So it's like, I'm talking about the hockey analogy, sorry Lonnie, but sports analogy a lot. But you don't put a defenseman to play forward, you don't put a forward to play D in very many positions, very many times. So are we putting the right tech on the right job? And as a service manager, do you know when that's being dispatched? And are you really good at dispatching at your store, making sure that part is, because that's where profitability comes in. When we're maximizing what's going through our shop, right? So, staff productivity, again, sign off on payroll. Got to do the one-on-ones with the techs that aren't performing, right? Finding out what their deal is. Finding out what their motivator is. Got to challenge them to level up. Do you have a staff member you don't think he's hitting its full potential? And that's, you know, when I look at people, when I try and, my successes, you know, based on where I've come from and what I've done, I'm not trying to date myself. But when I look at all of you in the mirror, I look at you and I'll look at you in the eye and say, what's their full potential and are they doing it? And if they're not, then I'm gonna be like, you know what? How do we go to the next level? Right? And I hope that that transpires to you guys when you're looking at, you know, whether it's a non-revenue producer or a technician or whatever, or what's their full potential? If they're doing 100 hours and they should be doing 160, that's you as a coach. How did you let that happen? What was the issue? You know, was his head right? You know, all those little things, right? So you got to look at it as a coach. You're gonna be like, hey, I had this many people. I have all my staff members. So if you're a GM, you have 32 employees, 37 or 40, rate them. Say, okay, which ones were at their potential? Which ones underperformed? Okay, now put them in a different pile. Now, the ones that underperformed, what did I do about it? And if the answer is nothing, then you didn't do your job at a high level. Sorry. So, that's just basic leadership, right? So, at the end of the month, you gotta, that's what the one-on-one, I always say, some of you can't do one-on-ones every week. I get it, but once a month, you gotta look at it and say, okay, you know what? My team excelled, awesome. Well, the one-on-one becomes more important. They hit in all categories. Now I gotta do the retention and reward. Now I gotta have that meeting with them and talk about how great we were, and hopefully I can get another month on it. Okay, well, you know what? I got 2 or 3 people that didn't hit their full potential, so what am I gonna do about it? Well, I better have a coaching meeting with them and say, hey, what happened? You know, we put you at this. I thought you were capable of doing at least this. Tell me, what's your opinion? You know, how can I be a better coach? How can we figure this out together? Right? That's part of the leadership and coaching of the people, getting the most of the people, right? Okay. Customer experience, like I said, they go hand in hand. I want to emphasize that the Colorado group, you know, customer experience and profitability go hand in hand. They are the same. Okay. Okay. Lastly, technology. Can we just go around the room? How are we doing on that? Yeah, Ticton?
90% or more.
Nice work. Awesome.
Yeah, we're about the same, 90.
Okay.
It's super frustrating for us. Our tablets crash every single day. We've sent several emails
Constantly.
and still nothing is happened about it. It's brutal.
And that's based on the internet? What's it based on?
No, yeah.
It's based on them trying to take pictures through the app on the tablet.
Okay. Okay. So, Scott, can you and Perry schedule a meeting, figure out what the resolution is, and send me an email? There's got to be a resolution, because I've heard that excuse for a year now. Okay? So, that's not.
One of the things, we use our phones. We don't use the tablets at all.
One of my advisors does use her phone. She still gets a lot of times where the pictures won't all transfer over. So she'll look at it in the system and there'll be 3 out of the 10 pictures that she took. So they don't always transfer over. But the tablets that we have for farmers, like I've got one advisor that can't use his phone, so I use the tablet. So
Okay, well, we need to come up. Perry, can you email me a solution on this?
You're saying that if you take pictures with the tablet, that's why it crashes?
that's the whole point of trying to use the tablet.
How is that?
What kind of tablets?
How are those?
Anyway, we can't have it not working. So Perry, you need to head this up. Can you send me an email in the next week on what the action plan's going to be?
Sure.
Okay. Mark it down. Here's the date in a week from now. So all 3 of you.
There's
Okay. How are we doing on check-ins?
90-95%.
Nice work. Check-ins.
77%.
Okay. How do we get to 100?
I think the percentage are calculated based on the amount of work was closed and some of the marketing before we took it going. But every appointment had a directed after period they as individual.
Okay, nice.
Advisors use their phones, we have one every tablet because the line by people apps zero.
Okay. So, okay. Issue there. Okay. Check-ins.
This month better, but in the last few months, it's not great. 50%, 60%, getting better.
Okay. So that should be part of your.
Anthony, you're at 76%.
For this month, yeah, getting better.
Okay, so check-ins digital, guys. This is what we want. Expect from everyone.
You're at 87.
The website.
It should be a 97.
The website. How many of you guys have went on your website to see what are the service recommendations on there? How easy is it for them to book an appointment? All that type of stuff. I know some of you had some challenges, but a good leader is going to know his website. He's going to have specials on there, and he's going to make sure it's user friendly, right? This is basic stuff, guys. You need to do it regularly. Okay? And your non-revenue producers, that when they don't have anything to do, guess what they're doing? They're checking your websites for you. Right? So, receptionist has lots of downtime, Sam. Sometimes these things, I can see them. Get your receptionist doing some of this for you guys. When I first bought Kelowna Hyundai, and I don't like to date myself, but when I first bought Kelowna Hyundai, we didn't have a lot of staff. My receptionist was my HR person. She was my executive assistant. She did accounting. She did everything. I had to train her how to do it. I had to find a really good one. But like, are you getting the most out of your non-revenue producers on some of these things that you need to be checking yourselves and making sure you're inspecting stuff, right? Database was another one. You know, we have all these units in operation and all these customers. It's not always on Perry to, be the savior here on running these programs or getting you more appointments. What are you guys doing about it? What is your guys' ideas on your database? Right? So if you're only averaging 8 or 9 appointments, what have you done about it? You're just going to accept it? Oh, we only had 7 appointments today and 9 tomorrow and 10 tomorrow. Well, I haven't seen any ideas. I haven't seen an email to Perry, hey, can we go through this? Can we send all these people this? What's my spring special on the website? Come on, right? Use your database. PBS usage, you got all these people's data in your system. A great tool, right? So, tech video every time. This is something that we're just rolling out, guys. It's the future where we want our techs. Part of our workshop later is going to be how to execute this. Come up with some good ideas, but in a perfect world, we want the techs doing a little video of every repair, putting it onto our PBS, and then you guys sharing it to the customers. And we know from the people that are doing it at a high level that it's CSI went through the roof and profitability went through the roof, right? Because now they can actually see it, it's a visual. They got to know the repair. They like seeing their car, and that was real important. So we gotta do something that we're gonna have to discuss. Do we have to pay the techs $1 per video? Whatever we have to do to get them to do it. But we're gonna come up with some ideas later on this. It should be the future. That our goal is that you have 100% tech to use, right? Communications with technology. How do we communicate with customers? Texting, emailing, all those type of things. Newsletters, specials. How do we rate ourselves in our department? Marketing, the phone, the posts. If you don't have enough appointments, what's your plan? How are you going to get the customer service? These are things that you got to be thinking as a service manager and a GM, right? Have you schedule a meeting with the marketing team and say, hey, I need to get more appointments in service. Let's have a meeting. Let's discuss it. What are some of the other teams doing, right? What the times are passing by. So technology isn't going away. It's just going to keep going. Now there's AI, all kinds of stuff that's being thrown at us. So we got to start executing some of these basic things at like 100%. We haven't even scratched the surface. Every year there's going to be more technology. So, the GMs and the service managers, you got to be an expert on technology. And then you guys got to be the coaches with your teams, right? It's like, train the trainer type thing. Well, the trainer needs to be the guy that's good at it. He needs to be able to be the expert. So some of you that are older and maybe not as good at technology, you better get with the times, man. It ain't going away. So I really need you guys' support. You guys see, you're going to get this deck that, how do I rate myself on technology? If you're not a solid 7 or 8, working towards higher, then you better do something about it.
And that's on all those things that I just listed.
Okay? Okay, we're gonna do a break. What time is it?
10 after 10.
10 after, I think we should do a break. When we do a break, Scott Jackson's gonna do the, we're gonna give you guys, we took 30 work orders from everybody. And we're gonna go through them as a team and look for the opportunities. Before we do the break, real quick, going back on the last one, what did anybody wanna tell? Any big takeaways from any of this? Kevin and Mario, for your dealership?
Yeah, the retainer reward, what are we doing about it? We currently don't have anything in place for the techs as far as what they do when they achieve our common goal, and we do talk about the common goal. For me, I've always been transparent, so they know where they need to be. But I currently don't have anything in place with the advisors or the techs to do that, so that's my takeaway that I'll talk to Kevin.
I think that our store in particular, we need to do higher level training. We need to have it, mapped out, have a plan on a Monday and a Tuesday going into our Thursday training session. I think I want, Darren's been doing the daily huddles, but I've had to remind him occasionally, and I think that you need to see the play in it. I think they're super important. I do it with the sales staff. Well, we do a good job training the sales staff Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but we don't skip on Tuesday and Thursday. We do a daily huddle. We do it every day. So I think that has to be a takeaway that hopefully the internet has got. I don't want to have to remind him. I want him to see the value in it. So those.
Darren, what's your takeaway?
I'm on board. We do the 8 o'clock huddles every morning.
Okay. What's your takeaway on this?
There's a bunch of stuff on there, like the average per hour, that stuff that I'll sit down and talk with the technicians at the advisors to try to get as much out of them.
Okay. Good. Lonnie and Scott, is there any big takeaways?
Well, definitely the hours per hour. I mean, that's always been a business struggle. We've certainly increased it, but it still needs to increase a whole lot more. So that's kind of where our biggest thing is.
Consistent one-on-ones.
Yeah.
Is the biggest takeaway.
Yeah. Okay. Con, I know you were writing lots. Anything that stands out?
The connection between customer experience and overall profitability, right? I mean, you can get a $3,000 bill through and then never see that customer again, right?
Yeah.
So we have to understand that wow factor we were talking about, what brings them back here versus somebody else. They have lots of choices. So we need to know our customers, know what makes them happy, and hit on that on a consistent basis.
Okay. Perry, any takeaway? You wrote down lots?
Yeah, I like the reward and retention. I think that's something that we need to do a little bit more of. Certainly, there's lots of areas where we can do marketing. And obviously at Jim's Victoria. But yeah, I mean, we try to do a little bit of it, but it's nothing really that's kind of laid out specifically. So it's almost like arbitrary. So it just needs to be a little bit more structured.
Okay. Justin?
I'd like to retain staff profitability. We got a really good crew right now, and I'd like to build on the crew and keep the crew the way I have.
Nice. Sammy?
Yeah, big one for me is just continue to drive customer experience and lead customer experience. They're all intertwined. Happy customers lead to happy staff, lead to higher profits, and obviously all of them are intertwined. The goal should be customers leaving happier than when they come. Always finish strong. Last impression is as important as first impression. And happy customers, we're trying to really minimize some of the seasonality that our business has. So we're trying to drive those RO counts and try to win some customers back on day keep deals.
Okay. Is it Woodgrove?
A reminder that we need to do better jobs at setting targets, goals, and expectations for sales or for our staff member technicians. We never sit down with them and say, okay, we're going to get $200. How are we going to get there? 25 a week or 50 a week? How are we going to get there? Here's a coffee card for the 10 days or whatever else. But give them targets, set the goals. We do it with sales guys every month. We never do it with technicians and advisors.
Is it doable? Can you guys make it happen?
There's one little thing that I don't know how to work around yet, but it's solid. We've got a diesel tech and a tranny tech, and we've only got one. And a lot of times they have big jobs that get held up, so one is a little difficult to input in there.
Yeah.
So it's something that we're working on, but it's something we want to do for 100% sure. And when we get a draft, we're going to work on, let Brandon know.
Smith? I think the biggest that I would like to personally work on at the house store that we haven't seen in 6 months. But I was right to go back to 6 months ago as to what customers bring in and why they have not been in applications. We judged it personally, for me. That's how I did the buying into this store. That was sales on.
I like it. Scott?
One-on-ones for me, is it something that I'm focusing on, white, flats on it? Yep. Not focusing on that. The other, Anthony?
When I look at this for myself, I think I'm going to be training. You know, I have a lot of new staff training them, consistency, process, grow, volume and process. And I wrote staff again with the edge.
That's Brandon? I don't want to get notes here. As you talk about things that I think about and better want to listen back. So you talked about just not accepting Saturdays and Mondays as being like shitty days, never for staff. So I wrote down some ideas here, like a quick people we're trying to do, posting that for like part-time tech, part-time UBI tech, part-time BDI tech, part-time tech tech, to see if we can somebody who needs to work 1 or 2 days. Was where we got a guy at college and he works 2 days a month, but I think that he 2 days a week for 50 hours. So if we had a guy like that, he would come in Victoria, you work out of Mondays, do it for 2 days, you guys, that would really help us. So just thinking outside the box. Obviously better training. I think that we do a really good job on ourselves. Staff in Victoria, I'll tell you what, when we use every problem like we're just we'll decide you don't have that basic training of like you really teach, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, player retention, reward. At Woodgrove, we took away the lunches for the techs. You know, this it required like a means of turning into like a negative to go away from them. I think when we some code to pull into attack again, I wrote down again, rather than just doing the lunches again, we get a free lunch every week. I think maybe we change it and we say like, hey, if we had to target the week before, so if our target's 200,000 total sales for a month, I mean, the simple math is that 50 hours a week ago, so we tried to hit. So I think that if we hit that 50 hours a week, the next week they get lunch. It'll put down. That's the key goal, right? Because there is that issue of Woodgrove, they always bring up like, and we push too hard an hour, they say, well, it's our quality of work, so it'll have a healthy balance. But, but again, just training and just I wrote stroke staff that we're doing what is that's not yeah.
Brandon, did I hear that right? You have a tech who works 2 days a week and puts up 250 hours.
Yeah.
But we're
setting
Calvin's Fridays and Saturdays.
That's a beast.
I mean, I've never done that, but that's something that Brandon said, hey, this guy's, you know, he'll work 10, 12 hours those 2 days a week, and then he's got 2 hoists going, because it's the 2 days where guys have days off, so there's extra hoists.
That open. You just haven't been able to fill a jack at Victoria, we constantly regret the ads, and you know, we're trying to do things, but that, I look at that big success with Woodgrove right now, so I just wrote it down, as you said, like, don't accept those shitty Saturdays, right? So.
Find a way, guys. Find a way if you're not executing or achieving something, or you're hitting your deadlines, or you're not hitting things that you need to do, find a way. Figure out how you're gonna do it. Okay, okay, thanks, Ryan, those were lots. Jordan, anything that you took out of it?
So I wrote down just dating of equipment. I feel like sometimes we're just a little bit tunnel vision on how we're gonna do it. So I wrote down make sure our website's really tight. Maybe try a mailer, maybe try a text blast. I wrote down BDC. We hired somebody at Kia, was doing really good. We got to replace that position quickly. You know, but maybe that position at Maple Ridge, right? Maybe you guys need to hire like a service BDC person.
Oh, buddy.
Jordan!
What'd you just say?
Oh my gosh.
Right? And then they just like they actively make outgoing calls and they
I've been wanting one of those for
so I wrote that down.
years.
You might want to look at your dad's face right now. He's not too happy with what he just
Hey, I need a business case. You guys have never sent me the business case.
So I wrote that down for Maple Ridge. I wrote that down for Florida Kia. We have the odd run. I think we're actively trying to find somebody, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I like that, but you know, not just a BDC person. Like we haven't. I don't think the service managers are very good at looking at the website. Yeah. So I think I wrote that down, and then I just wrote down, just as Brandon said, a part-time technician that could work at Kelowna Kia and work at Pentic to be so. It's somebody like, there's probably people out there that only want to work 2 days a week, maybe they're retired, right? Whenever it is.
Okay, I like some of those ideas, guys. Anyway,
That's the idea of the day so far.
like I said, when you're writing things down in your book, you want to circle some, like, there's no use having 50, but you want to circle some that you can get on right away, right? I mean, there's some non-negotiables, which are the one-ons. That's a non-negotiable for any manager. Okay? But some of these other ones, you gotta which ones you can apply right away, so. Okay, let's do a 15-minute break.